Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. It's the Hooptalk podcast. The same gang as usual. We got episode 10 of Hoop Talk season 3, man, on the way. Names are coming up. You already know who it is. If you don't, gotta hit that subscribe button. Gotta share with all your Hooper friends and family and get to know us, learn about us, because we're putting the city on as much as we can. There's a lot of basketball to be talked about today, a lot of basketball to be seen on our page. So tap in with us. Let's get into it. We only got GM5 and some ABA action for today, which is, I guess what we only have all the time. But
It's more actually than last week.
very soon, yeah, it is. Very soon we'll have more. There's some FBA stuff starting up soon, so hopefully we can take some time out to watch those games on our free time and talk about them as well. But we'll do some GM5 talk, man. We got week 10 of GM5. Lions Perception versus Vipers. Or I forgot to mention, City Ballers have a bye week, so they will not be in participation for our recap today. I'm sure they're very happy about that. The Lions versus Vipers, first game of the day. Vipers took that 74 to 51. Uh, Honestly, I don't got much to say. Not a lot of excitement there. Not a lot of interesting stuff going on. Tyler, you got anything of interest you'd like to share?
I mean, it was a game that we kind of expected. You know, Vipers, arguably the one of the best teams in the league, if not the best, if you're asking me. Um, they just kind of dominated. They had a almost full roster. Toro was there in replacement of Greg, I believe, and it looks like Toro actually got added to the roster full time. So that's nice to see. But they just it was kind of like a dominant game from Vipers. A lot of what you expected. A lot of tough shots, a lot of tough finishes from Zoldo. Um, One thing I do want to mention that we talked about on the broadcast that I didn't really piece together, and we didn't really consider. I think Bubba's ranking of Zay in the Defensive Player of the Year ranking. I think that there's a lot of merit to that, and I wish I went back to double check that myself or go through and look at the stats against him. But the Vipers are realistically, if not the best, they're a top two defensive team in the league. And at the helm of that is Zay. He is kind of leading that. We saw that today, especially on the boards, on the perimeter, finishing inside. The Lions couldn't really get anything done. Steve Stacko did a great job. I will say that. He was doing as best as he could. He was securing a lot of rebounds. I would not be surprised if when we see the stats, he had like 15 because he really was pulling them down. But, it's nice to get those possessions. But if you're not able to create anything off of them, you're not really able to do much. And I think that's what kind of happened.
Yeah, no
Because I do
Trent.
think, well,
I was just gonna say no Trent for the Lions, so we'll see what's gonna happen with that. I never took a chance to ask about that. I kept forgetting and kept getting distracted, but no Trent, so we'll see if he's gonna make a return to the GM5 throughout the rest of the season. But Steve definitely, did his best. He knocked down some threes too. He was spreading the floor. Steve, not really a consistent 3 point shooter from what I've seen so far in the GM5, but he was knocking them down. I know for sure he made at least two or three of them, and Steve was probably the only highlight that I could think of really. There was some plays here and there for the Lions, but I don't know, man. It was just not a lot to really be seen there, aside from Steve just gobbling up those rebounds. I didn't realize Steve was the second leading rebounder in the league. Actually, Tyler put me onto
yeah, me
that. I
neither.
did
I
not
did not know
realize
that.
that. One of two players actually that have double digit rebounds per game right now. The other, I'm sure everybody can come to the conclusion, is Keith. Um, but I did not know that. I learned that, and he's going to continue to average double digits because he had at least 27 of them last Saturday. So
Yeah.
offensive
Wow.
boards too. I'd say
Amen.
I don't know if they tracked this, but I'd say he had like 6 or 7 offensive rebounds. I'd probably say like he was gobbling
Well,
them up.
yeah.
No homo.
He created a ton of opportunities, and he wasn't really being selfish with those opportunities. At times, he would grab them down, and you would look to see him pass up rather than going right back up. It just when he was passing out, those shots weren't really falling,
Well, I see
and
Tyler
I,
asked the
I think
question for us.
that's what. Oh yeah, I'm asking. I'm trying to figure out because I think the Lions could be really good, fully rostered, fully squatted up. Um, I still think that they could take some wins away. I don't think that the season's over for them necessarily. They are in the playoffs at this point. There's 8 teams. All it takes is one game in the playoffs, and a player like Trent, if Trent comes back, he is that player that could be that catalyst along with Steve. Along with the rest of the squad. Even Jeremiah looked really good that game. He had some ref trouble, of course. Some things didn't really go his way, but I don't know. The Vipers just kind of took that over. They had some nice ass clean jerseys too.
Yeah, he was not happy. All it takes is one game. That is true, but like, I mean, does that really apply to some of the teams that they might have to end up facing? You know what I mean? All it takes is one game, but like the teams they'll have to go up against, it's not exactly an easy game. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. It's tough, but
That's what they say in March Madness all the time, and all it takes is one.
no, that is a fact. That is 100% a fact. I agree with you. I do agree. Anything is possible.
Didn't sound like it.
That's a
Didn't sound like you
convincing.
agree.
No, you just convinced me. The March Madness comment
That's right.
convinced me right there. But Pluto, I feel like you were saying something and I cut you off earlier.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you guys. I mean, you guys kind of answered it. Who was the player of the game? It seems like you guys are on like the Steve Stacko wave. But I was gonna say on the Vipers side of the game, who was like the game changer for the Vipers?
I'd say I don't think it was necessarily one person that showed off.
I think it was
I
Zuldo.
think it was a mix between like Zay and Zoldo, if anything. Or yeah, maybe I'll lead towards Zoldo.
Yeah, I think it was Zuldo.
That's fair.
Zuldo had a lot of, especially in the third quarter, he really picked it up, started going crazy. In that fourth quarter, his transition buckets, he probably had like 12 transition points. And I'm talking about
Jeez.
off the rebound, just coast to coast, just speeding past everybody. Man,
It's too
Zuldo,
fast.
yeah, Zuldo's fast. Yeah, 100%. Zuldo had to have 20 points. He had to have. If he didn't, it's because it was a blowout. That's the only thing. You know, I said it before. The points that players score never seem like what I saw when I actually look at the number. It's like I think they scored 25. Next thing you know, they had 19. I was like, what the fuck? How did that happen? You know what I mean? But so I say he had 20. Well, you know, maybe he had 16. Who knows? But I'd say he definitely was the bright spot for the Vipers. But I also agree with Tyler in the fact that multiple players did their thing out there for sure.
Yeah, Liam too.
Oh,
Liam is someone we talk about as well.
Willie started the first quarter probably like 7 for 9 from three. You know what I mean? He went crazy. He was going crazy.
I almost forgot about that.
Yeah,
He was talking some shit too. Yeah.
yeah. Willie
Damn,
went
maybe it
nuts.
might have been Willie actually.
He cooled down in the
All right.
second half. He cooled down in the second half. Zuldo picked it up. Zuldo started
Oh,
slow and picked it up in the second half. Willie started like a fucking flamethrower and then kind of slowed down towards the second half. But yeah, it was something. I think he hit like the first three shots he made were probably 3 pointers. It was special. It was something. But
might have been even more than that. Honestly, I would not doubt that.
yeah, he went crazy for sure. But yeah, that was pretty much it for that game. Moving on to our second game, easily the game of the week. Uh, New West Orlando, aka NWO, versus Count Up, a 2 point win in overtime for NWO. It was a very exciting game. Count Up believes I didn't get a chance to read through the whole conversation. I don't know if you did, Tyler, but Count Up believes that they made a statement by putting NWO through the fire in that game. What do you think about that? Do you believe that is factual? Do you see it that way?
Real quick, real quick. Just because I don't have the laptop on me. What was the score to that game?
65-67.
Ooh,
Overtime.
overtime as well.
Wait, was it overtime?
Yeah. Did you not hear any of my recap that I just gave?
Yeah.
Golly.
No, I did. Nah, I'm
I said
sorry.
all of
I'm not
that.
gonna lie
I
to you,
said
Naj.
all of that. I
You were
said
going, you were going, you were going in and out on my end, so it's not your fault. I'm sorry. So, nah, that's okay. That's all I was just wondering because that's crazy. That is a close game for Count Up because Count Up usually gets blown out by these teams that are better. They usually don't kind of play up to their competition. So it's a solid loss, but it's a loss, but it's a solid loss.
No, I would agree though. On what you said, Nas, I do think that kind of was a statement game, regardless of NWO not starting off immediately with Rod and Tommy not playing, they were still fully rostered.
Alex Sanchez
You
was
know,
also not there.
Rod,
Though.
yeah, but Alex Sanchez has not really been consistently there as it is.
Yeah.
If I had to bet, Alex Sanchez might have already missed 4 games this season. If I'm just basing that fully off of my head, I don't actually know.
I get what you're
Um,
saying though.
but he is a huge part of them, and I do think it would have helped. But I think that for the most part, the game might have still been similar. Count Up did a very good job of not being sped up in those first 3 quarters by NWO's defense. They did a really good job of keeping composure, and kind of focusing on like the other pieces of the game that they could focus on. I talked with Coach afterwards, and he talked about some of his games. I'm not going to go over all of it, but I think a really like a key part to that game that he kind of focused on was containing CJ as much as possible. And I've talked, thoroughly about how good I think CJ is for the game, how how much he impacts that offensively and defensively. And I think that we did not see him get to do that as much that night. On the boards, they try to box him out as much as possible. They try to put 2 people on him. So he didn't get that board to make that outlet pass that we normally have been seeing him do. They did a good job of taking him out of the offense as much as possible, making him shoot. Unfortunately, they kind of found out that CJ could also shoot that night because he did shoot very well. But for the most part, like he did not play that same brand of basketball that we saw in the other games. And I think that is a really big difference. The other pieces, once Rod got there, Jalen didn't play at all the first quarter until Rod got there, by the way. He sat on the bench. So he was, fresh legged, full energy once Rod finally got into the game. And I think that was a really good matchup for Rod. I think Rod, I don't think that he struggles against anybody. I'm not going to say that, but I think he does have, a worse overall offensive game against someone who's, bigger body, stronger, like Melo, like Jalen, someone that can actually post him up and push him back.
Yep.
And Rod didn't really get it going this game. And I think it's because, their defensive pressure that they put on him. But there was a lot that they did well that I think that they still would have done well. I think that the only issue that we might have seen though is in their guard, their guard lineup that they had out there. I think maybe if Tommy was there might have been a little bit more of a struggle because I think it's kind of hard to contain him. You were able to put 2 bodies on AJ at times, 2 people on CJ, whereas Bulba's not really hitting those threes as often. He's not hitting those deep shots, so you don't really have to like focus on him out there. But man, I don't know. I think kind of played them as well as anybody could have played them, other than the Vipers, who I also think played them very well. And I think that was a huge improvement from what we've seen from Count Up over this season.
Yeah, I think it
Huge
was.
improvement.
Yeah, I think it definitely was a huge difference for them. I one thing that I would say and why I question whether or not it was a statement win is because one thing that I always try to emphasize with when it comes to my basketball opinion is sustainability is a big factor when it comes to basketball. And when you're trying to win in the long run, it's can you sustain winning this way? Now, the issue that I find in that game, which was obviously a plus for them in the game, but from a sustainability perspective, is Malik Moore's performance. It's Malik went crazy, but Malik had
Oh
to do
yeah.
yeah, Malik had to do a lot of difficult things to go crazy. And that's where
How did my boy do this weekend?
and that's what sustainability is
Amazing.
all about. You know what I mean? It's like if this is what you're going to require out of Malik and Braji as well, who also had a great game, if this is what you're going to require out of them in order to stay in these games, could you sustain that in a more important game in the playoffs, for example? That's where I think Count Up needs to figure out like they're still in the habit of taking bad shots and difficult shots very often throughout the game. And I think Malik is that's just the nature of his game. So I don't believe that's ever gonna stop, honestly. But it can stop in other places, and I don't think it ever did. I think where I believe they lost the game, and I'm always gonna ride for my serpents, but I gotta say it. Where I believe they lost the game is when Kevin Beans decided to take a long three to try and play hero ball, and that was, I believe, at the end of it was either the end of the fourth quarter or overtime. I think it was overtime towards the end of that. There was a point where he chose to take a long shot when realistically what needed to happen was the ball needed to keep swinging, and there was a real opportunity for them to find a better shot and a better opportunity to either I think tie it up or win that game, and I think that is where they lost that game. And sustainability from a sustainability perspective, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can get on board with saying that Count Up made a statement because when you look at game film the right way, are you gonna tell your team, let's just do that again next game? You know what I mean? Are you gonna tell your team that? Like, do what? Make Malik hit 3 back to back to back and one crazy layups? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's what he did. You're gonna
Oh,
ask
Pluto,
him,
you don't know, bro.
yeah.
Pluto, you
know.
really don't know. Till
Wait
you
till
watch the video.
Tyler,
wait till the game. Listen,
I do know.
when the
I
videos
do
come
know.
out,
I've
No.
seen him.
when the videos come
Oh,
out, no,
not
you
like
don't
this.
know. When the videos come out, that's the first game you need to watch. Forget about watching them in
There
order.
was a point where he was sideways, completely sideways, and he hit the shot in
Yeah,
the air.
but
Did you see
that's
Dennis Rodman going to jump for that ball? He was the opposite way, like this.
Malik's weird. He's one of those players that can kind of rub off contact. Like he doesn't need to take the whole contact, and he can
He took it
still
all.
finish.
He took
Yeah,
the whole shebang.
yeah, and he's
oh,
also one of those people who can adjust in the air very, very well. That was weird, but he's one of those people that can adjust in the air very, very well. And that's something about his game that people mistake. They see a scrawny dude and they think they're just gonna bump him off. They think they're gonna do this and that. And he's so skilled that like the bump helps him make the layup. The bump helps him finish his and one. Like that's something I already knew about him though, but because I've seen him do it with players that are much bigger and much more athletic than him, and he still gets to overfinish them and things like that. It's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, he was big body.
Yeah, Malik went crazy. He was definitely the player of the game for Count Up without a shadow of a doubt. But like I was saying, it's a sustainability factor, and that's what I really want to encourage Count Up when it's time to watch the game film, when it's time to decipher. All right, we took them to the limit. We lost by 2 in overtime. You got to really think about it. If you make better selections, you probably just win that game straight up. That's my personal opinion, and I think that's what I would like to encourage Count Up to really pay attention to. Is like sustainability matters. I mean, you show that you can hang, but like in the playoffs, you're gonna have to really figure out your efficiency because you can't just expect Malik to make those shots again. You know what I mean? You can't just expect Braji's gonna go out there and shoot the lights out again. You have to get the support that you need from everybody else, and there has to be a better shot selection at the end of the game. There has to be, and I hate to have to put a serpent down, but I just didn't like the shot. I didn't like the shot. It was a couple feet behind the 3 point line. There was plenty of time in the shot clock, and I genuinely do believe that's the shot that lost in the game. I really do believe that.
I agree, and I talk highly about Beans often. I'm also a Volusia fan from Volusia, but that is something that Beans does do often. We can say that more often than not we will see him at the end of the later in the fourth quarter taking some really questionable shots, shooting them out of games, and it happens. So there has to be some sort of like developmental change where you recognize that like we're winning. This shot I don't need to be taken right now. Let me kill some more of this clock. Because I don't know exactly when NWO took the lead, but it had to be like the last 3 minutes of that game.
They
I'm
were
pretty
down
sure.
when he took the
Or
shot. They were down when he took the shot.
Yeah. So, but I think by that point, NWO had been leading that quarter and that game for majority of the game. I think, or I'm sorry, Count Up had been leading for majority of that game. I think NWO only took the lead back 3 minutes at the end of the game.
I don't remember exactly when, but it was in the fourth quarter that NWO started consistently getting a lead. I do know they tied it up a couple times throughout the game.
Yeah, I
know,
would
it's
say
just
this. Oh,
shots.
go ahead, Tyler. Yeah, I
That's
would
it.
say
Just
this. I
questionable
mean,
shots. Oh, my bad.
no, you're good. You're good. I was gonna say, Count Up is just one of those teams that like I don't think they understand that when the ball is swing, swing, swing into an open pass, it's so much more what's the word, fluidity in their offense. When they're jacking up shots or taking those harder shots, which I know what shot you're talking about, that's that being off the dribble shot. I don't like being off the dribble. I'm sorry. It's just not something that I've seen be successful. I like beans in spot up positions. I like beans in actions, but at times I think Beans himself gets lost in the art of the pull up dribble, and that's not a shot that's a high level shot.
It was a
Like it's
spot
a
up
very
shot though.
very high level shot. It wasn't a spot up shot. I thought it was off the dribble, so I
Yeah.
take back everything I said.
The ball
All right.
But
was
there was a shot not that long earlier that was
yeah.
that was also off the dribble.
The
Okay,
ball was
okay.
swung. Yeah, the ball was swung to him, and he took the shot. Where there was enough time for them to continue to look for a better opportunity, in my personal opinion. Oh, we lost him. All right, but either way, yeah. I mean, Count Up did a great job. Regardless, I'm not trying to take that away from them. I want to make sure they understand that I was happy to see them be able to hang. And Malik, he just put up one hell of a performance. It was one hell of a game. I saw TP in one of the chats. He said he explained it perfectly with very little words. All he said was that damn Malik, and that's exactly how I felt, bro. That's exactly how I felt. That what is he? What does Mark Jackson say? Mama, there goes that man. That's how I
There goes
felt,
that
bro.
Malik.
He must have
Golly.
had a game,
Mama, there
man.
goes
No,
that
He had a
Malik.
Malik
game.
went crazy, bro. Malik, and I don't think the total amount of points were outrageous. Like I don't think he had 30 or anything, but the shots he was making were out of this world. Out of this world. I can count 5 off of my memory that were just out of this world, and 3 of them were fast break layups. 2 of them were just some crazy ass 3 that he's just shooting over someone. It's man, what godly.
You're gonna
Does
watch
the-
it and you're gonna be surprised. You're gonna be surprised. I
I'm not.
promise you,
I've
no matter
seen his
how
highlight
good you
tapes
think
in high
Malik
school.
is,
They're crazy.
but
I'm telling
that's
you, bro.
highlight tapes in high school versus like now he's going against like grown men that are like much bigger than we
Hey.
all were in high school. Much
For
bigger.
sure. He's making people fall on the floor though in those tapes. That's all I'm saying. I've seen him, y'all. Trust me, I know that guy. I know him.
He'll see, Tyler. Don't worry.
Yeah.
He'll see what we mean.
And if
He's
if
gonna
you're not
text us
surprised
like,
by it-
"Oh my God, Malik really did go crazy."
if you're not
Yeah,
surprised
that
by it,
worked.
I'm gonna be disappointed in your basketball prowess. If you're not excited by it.
But
I got you. I got you.
That was it
Respect.
for that game, man. Make sure y'all tune in and shout out to Braji because Braji had a great game as well. I think Malik stole the show for sure, but Braji was a catalyst for that team's success that game. He hit a lot
Brendan
of great
too.
shots. Brendan
block party.
Brendan was a defensive juggernaut for sure. He was blocking crucial shots. A lot of momentum stoppers from him for keeping count up alive. Yeah, shout out to Brendan.
Lenore's.
Good call.
Actually, the whole squad.
Yeah, the
Lenore's
whole-
also had a really good game.
Whole squad. I'd say those were their big 3 though. Then them boys, they
Yeah.
they went out there, they put on a show for sure. Yeah, what you call it? Brendan has some crazy blocks, man. But I don't want to sit here and talk about that game all night. But yeah, Brendan, shout out to you, bro. That was a great game from you as well.
We could though. We have a lot to talk about, so we could. We're not going to, but we could.
Yeah, we definitely could. But we might be able to have our first ever short podcast based on how the rate of this right now. But we'll see. Third game, another game that I just not allowed to talk about. Dream Chasers versus OTB. Finished exactly how you would anticipate a Dream Chasers versus OTB game to go. OTB won that game by 31, 88-57. Dream Chasers, according to Pluto, were having the game of their life because he was watching through the.
How was that work when I texted that?
He was watching.
It was 29-30 when I texted you guys that.
It was I'd say they started well for sure. OTB has a history of starting games slower. I feel like I've noticed, and once they really get the groove of it, they just kind of take off. I mean, Josh Fillmore did Josh Fillmore things. What you call it? Stucky. He had himself a very efficient game. He was knocking down a lot of his shots. And Melo on our draft night for our fantasy league. He did tell us that he anticipates Stucky to take about 2 to 3 weeks because he hasn't been playing basketball too consistently. He did tell us that, and this is the 3rd week. This is his 3rd game, so Melo was about right. Melo was definitely right there because Stucky had himself a good
Stucky
game.
looked good that first game when I went back to watch. When you guys told me Stucky didn't have a good game, I went back and watched it. He looked nice.
No, he started
Immediately.
slow. No, he started slow. He had like 9
At
points
last-
that game.
Yeah, last week he didn't play well either.
Last week he had okay game. This game is the game that you anticipate a player of his resume to have. When you look him up, you just expect him to just go out there and ball out. And I think this is the game where this is what we would expect out of Stucky. And even even people that know him knew that it would take him some time to get back into the groove of things, and rightfully so. But either way, not much for me to say, honestly. Just a good old fashioned spanking. What do you think, Tyler?
Pluto lied to us. Pluto told us that Kells wasn't going to be here anymore on Saturdays. What the fuck, bro? He was here.
He told me that himself. Kel lied to us.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
Let's switch the wording. Kel lied to us.
Like TP told you KJ was in high school?
Technically, Kel did not lie to us. Kel lied to you, and then you proceeded to lie to us.
You told us a lie. Because he was
Well,
there.
did he play?
And they
Did
played
he
that
play?
night.
He
Did
did.
He played both games.
And he played.
Yeah.
Yo, that's all right. I got something for his ass on Saturday. Well, not this Saturday. Next Saturday. We're going to have a comp. Well, if Kel's knees hurt the next game, it wasn't my fault.
Well, actually, it's already hurt. We saw the Royals game. We'll get into
This
it.
is being recorded, ladies and
Man,
gentlemen.
I'm
I'm
watching
joking.
it. You just
I'm
spoiled
joking.
the ending for me.
I'm
You just
joking. I'm joking.
spoiled the ending
But
for me.
I'm joking. He didn't get hurt. But I don't know. Dream Chasers had the same issue that they have throughout the entire season. We talk about it on the broadcast often. They just don't communicate on defense, and I feel like they don't put any effort on that side. You look over at the bench and you see Dane complaining about the same thing over and over and over. No one's fixing it. Y'all not talking. No one's saying nothing. No one's speaking. And then you look on the court and they're not saying anything. And people are stagnant. They're ball watching and they're getting lost. And that's just going to be an issue with Dream Chase until they fix that. It's just nobody puts effort in defensively other than like two people, consistently. I don't really see it anywhere else. And even then, I mean, Kel, I fuck with Kel, but even Kel at times when he gets kind of lost in the sauce and he gets, a bad call, things aren't going his way. Even sometimes he gets lost on that end. So I don't know. That's like a mentality thing at that point. Like you guys just have to like lock in and play basketball together. Like everyone paid money to play, from what I understand, for the most part, or at least to get into this league. I don't like spending money and not getting my worth out of it. Like I at least want to play something. I want to do something. So I don't know. I don't think it's fun getting blown out like this. I don't think this is enjoyable to anybody. So I would like, just more effort defensively somewhere. Start creating on defense. Create extra offensive opportunities. Do something.
Yeah,
But also
I agree with
OTB
you
is
on
just
that.
OTB, bro. Like when they're not fully rostered because Luke wasn't here as well. But you like I feel bad saying this. You don't even really notice it because they
Yeah.
just are monsters. They're just offensive weapons. Keith was running a lot of the offense through the post, just cuts, threes, people moving off the ball. I feel like they play like a motion offense because I see them constantly moving.
Yeah.
And they're one of the few teams that I really see that doing a lot. But they work so well when they don't have the ball, and I think it's because they're so unselfish. Like half
I
of their
will say
team has over 6 assists a game.
I will say this as well. I think that team's a lot smarter than it was last year. And it's no offense to Rod, it's no offense to these players, but you have players that are a little bit more unselfish and are willing to make that extra pass this year with Luke and all those guys. You just mentioned people averaging 6 assists. And
You're
I'm not saying
screwed.
Rod was,
You're
huh?
screwed. You are screwed. This is the take
Because Rod's really the only one not there.
This is the take that's
Huh?
gonna ruin your career at GM5. This is the take right
Wait, what
here.
happened?
You just
Rod's the only one that's not really there.
you
Everyone
just
else is
you
there.
just you just attacked Rod.
Yeah.
You just
I mean,
attacked Rod.
that's no, I didn't. I'm just saying I love Rod.
You
And
just
I'm not
verbally
saying Rod is
abused
dumb.
Rod.
I'm just saying Rod's more of a scorer than the pieces they have there.
Yeah.
The pieces they have now, they're more willing passers. They're willing to make the extra pass.
And they're
There's no
smarter.
shade to Rod.
And they're smarter than Rod.
Huh?
And they're smarter than Rod.
You gotta say
If that's what you interpret, if that's what
That's
your
what you
takeaway from my
said.
take is,
There's nothing to interpret. That's what you said. I'm not interpreting. I'm not. These are the words you said. I'm repeating them back to you, Tyler.
this team is
Tyler, am I
smarter than
wrong?
last season, and the only difference is Rod's not there.
You said this exactly.
We didn't
you
say that.
You
I
said
mean, they
this team.
have Keith as well too. That's a big
Okay.
addition. He averages a lot of assists. They run their offense through Keith.
So
I think
subtracting
that
Rod
he looks,
and adding Keith made them smarter. That's what you're saying.
I think it made him better too.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've said that since the beginning. I agree. I've said that since the beginning. Yeah. Good way to dodge this question, though. Great way to
Anybody
dodge
else
the
gonna
question.
beef with me after I've had their back the whole time, then I guess I'll take the beef. But all I'm saying is that OTB is probably the smartest team in this league, and Tyler hinted at that. The extra passing, the screens, the motion offense, knowing where players are going to be, knowing what players are like the archetypes of players within the positions they need to be. You have your shooter spread out. You have your slasher slashing so Keith can find them open. You have Melo being the extra passer there, the extra assist man, the extra swing man. I'm sorry to say it, it's not that Rod is dumb. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that this team's a lot smarter this year than they were last year, and they're a lot more efficient this year. That's all I'm saying.
Overall, I mean, I'd be interested to ask because I would like to know, what time do they spend outside of GM5? I know they play with each other often because of their GM5. I mean,
They
I'm sorry,
do.
their what you call it? Their what's the fuck? Ace League, like their Ace League, for example, and other leagues. I know that for a fact. But I definitely I'd argue, and I don't know, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but I'd argue that OTB is probably the only team in the league that plays through like real sets. You know what I mean? Like real,
Yeah,
not sets in the sense of we're calling this and this is what we're doing. I don't think that's what they do, but they all have a IQ of understanding how to space the floor correctly, how to cut at the right time when an action is happening on the right side of the floor, how to keep the left side of the floor involved in the action as well. You know, they set a lot of off ball screens. They post up Keith in the high post, and then they set an off ball screen for somebody on the other side so they can get a cut to the basket. You know what I mean? Like they know how to feed the post, which is a miracle in this generation of basketball. You know, I do genuinely think OTB, to piggyback on what you guys are saying, is the smartest team in the league, but they play off of like actual sets. You know what I mean? Like they make the right decision every play. And you know, honestly, the only teams that have really shown the ability, or the only team that has actually shown the ability to compete with them, is NWO, and it's more because NWO plays with such a grit that they're just hard to keep up with. You know what I mean? They disrupt everything you do. They know how to defensively stop what you're doing. They know how to defensively play hard enough to make sure all these easy sets and easy cuts and easy openings aren't always there. But
agree.
OTB is, like, to me, the only team that I can really see is like you guys are playing smart basketball out there every possession, and I love it. I love watching them play. How they get Luke? Luke hasn't been
They're
there
my favorite team.
consistently, but how they get Luke open is phenomenal. I love it. Like I love how they set the screens for him, how they look for him to get open, how they encourage him to take every shot he gets. You know what I mean? Like I love to see that. Josh, phenomenal playmaker. Keith, Mello, I love it. I love all of it.
Yeah.
So, Luke, this is Luke's fourth game that he's gonna be missing. Is for the cutoff or is for the limit? Or sorry, is
I get what
for
you're
the
saying.
cutoff or is three the cutoff? So you miss four and then you can't play anymore, or is it you miss four, you can't miss that fifth?
Yeah, I
I think
believe
it's
you.
you can't miss the fifth.
Yeah, I think you can't miss the fifth because when the season started, they talked about five being the number, so it would make sense that four is the cutoff because you can't. If you miss a fifth, you're done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Luke has a chance. Luke has a chance to come back. And Luke coming back to this team is really, really dangerous. Like Luke coming back to this team, man, the Josh Fillmore I think is a fantastic shooter. Let me tell you that before I go forward. Stuckey I think is also a fantastic shooter. I think Luke is better than them. And the shots that they are able to create for themselves and also get created by both Mello and Keith
Think.
are some of the easiest shots I've seen. Like they are just willed into these shots. And when Luke gets back into that role, I really can't wait to see them play NWO in 2 weeks. They play the Vipers again, and I think that is going to be one of the game of the seasons. I think that's going to be a
It's going
really
to
good
be a big
rematch.
game. Yeah, I think that's going to be a big game as well. I agree with you, Tyler, because I think Vipers have something to prove, and I think OTB has something to prove as well. In a sense of like beating a really good team like the Vipers, but like fully helmed. Because I think the last time they played, they weren't fully helmed, and I think this is something that a lot of the bigger, like the better teams, have to take pride in these wins right here, so they can beat the Vipers twice in one season, and that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. That's a really good team, a really really good
Yeah,
team.
that's like storybook. Like the next couple games for OTB, they don't end the season off, with an easy schedule. They have a bye
Yeah,
week coming up. They play the Vipers, they play Count Up, and they play City Ballers. So they
some
have
solid
an
teams.
opportunity to like really, build up some more chemistry between them. I know that they play, a ton together. They played seasons in with the Ace League. They played with Squad X together for some of them. But they have some opportunity to build even more chemistry together and close the season out really strong and go into the playoffs. And I would not be surprised if they're in the finals. Like they are. There's three teams to me that are finals favorites, and I just don't know which one I would really side with right now.
I agree, 100%. I can tell you teams that have not looked like finals favorites. I apologize for this unfortunate segue, but we got Prey versus Park Legends as the last game of the day, of the week. Yeah, of the day, same thing. 84-79 for Prey. Prey, I'd say Prey definitely showed some decent, moments throughout the game, but I think this was more of a Park Legends losing than it was of Prey winning.
Definitely.
84 to
Definitely.
75. I don't know if I said the score already, but yeah, 84 to 75. Park Legends was missing some pieces. You can use that as your excuse, but things just look kind of rough out there. I don't know. Things just look kind of rough out there. It felt like they were just fighting to get to a certain score. You know what I mean? And just never had the fight in them to actually tie the game. And it was just a rough game. Park Legends. This is what their fourth loss. Park Legends has a losing record now. Park Legends has a losing record with what 3 games left to go. I think 4 maybe. Um, it's tough, man. I don't know. What did you see, Tyler?
Um, I thought that game was gonna go very different than how it started because immediately off the bat, Park Legends get up 0-10. They immediately get a lead, and Prey looked really bad in that time. I'm gonna be honest. In that first like 5 minutes before they called the timeout, they looked awful. It looked like Christian as a primary ball handler was a fantastic experiment. They were going to keep going that forward, and they were just going to take it over. KJ on the perimeter was looking great, and he looked great all night. Actually, I will say that. But as soon as a timeout happens, the game just completely flops. Everything changes. Prey is now able to beat their zone that they were running. They were smashing it. They were feeding Lou inside in the middle a lot, and I think that was working really well. Djax was Djax, like wholeheartedly. He could not be tamed at all that night. Brandon White was doing a lot of what I talked about that I think does really well when he's on the perimeter. I think he is more of a stretch five than an inside big man, and I think we just have to adjust to that and look to feed him in the perimeter. And then like Andrew Gronigan, God, man, that dude has a strap on him. He absolutely Coach D was doubting him before having shots. I'm like, bro, just give it a second. As soon as he shoots this, I promise you it's going in.
Yeah,
Like
Newland
two,
don't
three
play.
shots later, he's like, damn, I get it now. I see it now. And it's just a reality. They looked great. Lou is stretching the man, what was I saying? I forgot what the wording is. No, I don't even know what I was going to say, but he's out on the perimeter a lot more. I can't speak right now. I'm sorry. Out on the perimeter a lot more. And he's getting his shot up recently, and it's been falling pretty consistently now. I'd say he is somebody that you actually have to go out there and guard him. And for someone who's a big man, like you're taking the other big man out of the paint. And in this case, I mean, the big man was Darius Hall, who could recover. He was quick enough at the time, but still, I mean, he had to play recovery a lot on those cuts, a lot on those drives, and like that hurt them. The other piece of it, Christian is one of my favorite players that we talk about him a lot during the season. We talk very highly of him. From what I talked with Coach D about to kind of understand more about him, I don't know if he's really been a primary ball handler recently on any of the teams that he's been on. And I think putting him into that position immediately without Dom or anyone to fall back on, Ish wasn't there as well. I think that's where we kind of saw some limitations with Park Legends, where they weren't able to really get anything running. They weren't able to create anything. I think Christian is better shooting off ball or shooting, into 1 to 2 dribbles and then taking a shot versus like he's now the one creating offense, navigating screens, looking to get somebody open. I don't I don't think that's working yet. I think that it could, but I don't think right now in this game or in the coming games with the roster that they have it is.
I think realistically, in this game there was nothing else to do. You know what I mean? Like everybody was missing.
Yeah.
Offense had to be created somehow. But yeah, I think Park Legends didn't have the game that they needed Christian to have. They didn't have the game from Christian that they needed him to have in order to really sustain throughout this game. And on the other end, Prey had the game from Djax that they needed him to have in order to keep, going. And after that 10-0 lead that Park Legends had, what happened is the referee remembered to go get his whistle from his bag, and that shit just started blowing for the rest of the quarter because he said, "Oh, I got to make up for it now." You know what I mean? And then that whistle just started blowing and blowing and blowing. At some point, they were arguing if they even had all the free throws that were listed or that were made even up on
Yeah.
the board. You know what I mean? That there was so many free throws shot, the table lost count. That's how crazy it started getting. That 10-0 lead
I forgot
was
about
yeah,
that.
that 10-0 lead was closed out by free throws. I'm pretty sure 8 of those points that Prey scored to tie it up at 10-10 were free throws. I'm almost positive, if not six.
Bro, Djax took 6 free throws in the first quarter.
Yeah, it was insane. So Djax was very
He's getting
aggressive.
Zach up.
Yeah, Djax was very aggressive.
Big body.
Jaylani, obviously being there allows him to have a more natural playmaker, whereas he's more willing to make those tough passes, willing to make those extra passes, and engage with his teammates on where to be, where to go to see openings more often. Now Djax can be more of that off guard. You know what I mean? And I've compared him in the past, not because of play style, but because similar impact to Jalen Brunson with a Luka Doncic. Now I'm not saying Jaylani is Luka Doncic or anything of that nature, but it's the contrast of naturally I'm a point guard, but if you put me in a scoring position to where somebody else can be the point guard, I can really shine off of that. You know what I mean? And that's I feel like that's what Djax has slowly been doing because I think this is easily what the third week in a row we've been talking about Djax stepping up at least. So it hasn't always resulted in a win, but this is what Prey needs. They're gonna now need to evolve. If Jeff Gene can't get it going, we've been asking for that for a while, and yet another week where he
You got
just
to go in this game.
yeah, but like
I
you
think he did
know
good.
not it's just I guess I was just tricked. I was just tricked from 2024. You know what I mean? I really anticipated a 20 points per game score, and like to me for him to go back to my good graces, he has to go out there and drop 20, 25, any other night like he was doing the first time I ever, laid my eyes on him. And this team is virtually the same, with improvements. It's not like they got worse. I would argue they improved in most areas compared to who they were as Swift back then. So it's Djax right now has to be the one because we just don't know what Jeff Gene is going to bring to the table for the rest of the season. So I don't know what Prey can do to finish up the season strong, but I can say that my suggestion is let's figure out a way to make Djax our primary score because games have looked better when he is doing that. The wins haven't been there yet, but this is a good place to start. And I know we're going to get to it in a second, but I believe I saw upcoming games. Prey has another game that they can easily win as well. But we'll get to that in a second. So Prey has the ability to finish strong, and I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, I think having Jaylani as like their primary ball handler looking to create, and then if things don't work, you have Djax in your back pocket, or you even look to create for him, is going to be the secret to them winning. Because Jaylani creates so many opportunities for people to score. Like the stats are not going to show it. There was like 4 or 5 like just missed layups that they should have easily gotten that they didn't in transition that he kind of created for them. There was a lot of that during this game. There was a lot of opportunities like that. So I mean, you have him, looking to create for others, like you mentioned, being that Luka role, and then you have Djax just scoring. That's tough. That is tough.
Yeah, I agree, and I think they have a good unit to really help Jaylani shine because when you look at somebody like Brandon, who is a stretch big, Lou, who has proven to work very well next to Jaylani so far, and even Jeff Gene, if he doesn't turn into the scorer that he was last season, still a very capable player that's going to create a lot of opportunities. I think they have the team and the roster to succeed. And I mean, realistically, like you said, it's just one game. You know what I mean? It's just one game possibility in the playoffs, and that's all it takes. So
All it takes. I listen. I love NWO. NWO is going into a flawless season, and I think flawless seasons are a lot more scary
Yep.
than seasons where you've been tried and you've had some tribulations throughout it and you've lost some games, because there is some complacency that you have at some point that builds up. And I mean, NWO is a perfect example where if one thing goes wrong, that undefeated perfect season could go away, and that could happen to any team.
Yep.
Any team. One person
Game
doesn't
time.
show up, 2 people don't show up, shots not falling. That's all it takes. Yeah, game
Yeah.
time is a good example.
Game time. They won every game last year, and they lost the championship game to a team that was OTB, which everybody thought was going to win anyways. But that's what you're saying, Tyler. You kind of build up this complacency. You don't have other styles. You don't have other ways to win. because you're beating everybody kind of the same way, just built off defense. But I haven't. I mean, they have been to some overtime games. They have been pushed to the edge by a lot of teams, but that last game, even if you get there, you already think you've won it because you've been undefeated till there. It's like you've already had a sip of the champagne without even winning the championship just yet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add that one to my book.
Yeah, anything's possible for
Dude.
sure. And I mean, like I mentioned, Prey has the ability to win games for the remainder of the season. And I mean, we can get into our last segment for GM5, and that's the upcoming games. Prey has the first game of the day, and they're going to play Team Chasers. And you know, I hate to be negative every single week, but like, yeah, I put my money on Prey, which puts Prey in a position where they won 2 back-to-back games, and that's a good momentum boost for them.
Yeah, I've been Prey after this. I like this new version of Prey. That zone isn't beating them anymore. They've figured it out.
It
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm actually gonna go with Dream Chasers this week.
well, good luck to you, buddy.
But
If
the odds
this
be in my favor.
if this was an option on Hard Rock, I'm smashing the over on Prey. But game 2 of the day is going to be Count Up versus Lions. Count Up with a good opportunity here to redeem themselves. Lions, depending on how it goes with their roster, a winnable game as well. But I think the betting favorites here are Count Up, and I would like to take those odds.
So, I asked that question to everyone in the group chat, and I mean, it doesn't look like Trent is coming back. That's an assumption that I'm kind of making. He only went that 1 week, and there was some final roster moves that could have been made that weren't made to really add him onto it. So I don't I'm not gonna bet against I'm not gonna bet against Count Up in this situation. I think that
Yeah,
they take that.
yeah. I think this is the count up spot of the tough loss. They're probably still riding that momentum. I'm going count up.
I agree. As unanimous there. Vipers versus City Ballers. We got some insider information that a certain
Be a
City
good
Baller
game.
believes he's gonna whoop some Viper ass. Tyler, is that correct?
I saw
That's
it
what
too.
that's what Kevin's telling me. But listen, I'm not gonna bet against the Vipers in any situation.
Me neither.
I fuck with Kev, but Vipers are my team. I'm going with the Vipers. I'm going with the Vipers to win the championship. I'm telling you right now.
Uh, I was also in that group chat with Kevin and Tyler. And Kev was talking crazy, I feel like. But he did make some points that I can see are kind of valid. I think Liam does have an issue with physicality at times. So I can see them winning the game. But I mean, this is Vipers all the way. I mean, City Ballers can make this a close game all game and then lose it in the last 2 minutes. So this is the game to prove it. This is the game to prove it right here. For the City Ballers.
I think Vipers have too many weapons, and I think it's going to be frustrating for City Ballers to handle. The addition of Willie is one of the greatest additions of the season. That's gonna it's gonna put them in a situation where they are going to very easily compete against the two juggernauts of the league, OTB and NWO in the playoffs. And I really hope they play one of them early to get that out the way. So I got Vipers because I just think they got too much now with Willie. We talked about it in the broadcast. That lineup of Zuldo, Jose, Willie, Ant, and Liam, that's tough, bro. That is
It
Yeah.
tough.
is tough.
You got scoring in so many ways. You got playmaking. You got outside shooting. You got fast break potential. You got defensive, monsters in Ant, and obviously Bubba put us on to Jose being a defensive monster himself. So, man, I don't know, man. I don't want to focus on the future too much, so I'll just talk about City Ballers. I got the Vipers, so that's unanimous there as well. Um, and then the last game, OTB having the bye week for the week, which I think is their second bye week of the season. They're one of the lucky teams that gets that luxury. Uh, Park Legends versus New West Orlando is going to be the last game. And if you would ask me 5 weeks
10-0.
ago,
10-0. Tell you right now, 10-0. Before you even finish, 10-0.
oh God, what I was gonna say is if you would have asked me 5 weeks ago, I would have said this is game of the week. But honestly, the way things are going for Park Legends, man, I'm more excited for Vipers versus City Ballers. I got NWO, and if Park Legends cannot wake up and play better basketball, man, I'm calling it. I got a mercy. I got NWO mercy rule. I got NWO mercy rule. Fuck it. I said it.
I'm with you. I got MWO Mercy Rule this week too. I'm not even gonna let Tyler go first.
I already said my vote. I already said 10-0.
Yeah, Tyler made
I'm
sure
not
he
gonna
was
say mercy
first.
rule. Yeah,
My bad, Tyler.
I
You
don't
win.
think it should be a mercy rule because every time I've said it's a mercy rule so far, the other team has won. So I'm not gonna. That's commentator's curse. I'm not doing that again.
I like that. Big CC.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes for the week. But let us know what you think in the comment section. Who you got winning for week 11 of the GM5? Things are winding down soon. All-star voting has begun, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna put together some stuff because Atlanta Sports will be hosting the GM5 All-Star Game. It is for 2025, but it will be in 2026. I know, slightly confusing, but the season goes on until the end of the year, unfortunately. So January 3rd will be the GM5 Season 5 All Star event with All Star Game, 3-point shootout, dunk contest, and a few more things. But we're going to hash out the details 100%. We're going to make sure everything's good to go, and then we're going to make a big announcement. But make sure you guys start getting ready. Make yourselves available. If you got to request PTO, request it. GM5 is winding down. Playoffs are about to start. All Star Game voting is starting. It's the best time to watch GM5. So make sure you tap in with us every single week because we're going to post those videos and broadcast it. But we have one last topic of the day. So we'll wrap up our podcast for a little short podcast today. ABA,
Real quick.
some American.
Tyler, 30 minutes. You were right, Tyler. 30 minutes. I watched the whole game.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So I have some context here.
Some American Basketball Association action happened last weekend. We finally were able to return to the Royals games. It's every other week, so we have to miss a lot of their action, but we're finally back. They played the Claremont Caimans, who are a Claremont Crocs affiliate team in the ABA. A lot of new faces on that team, man. Some dope-ass jerseys. The Royals doing what they did, man. Tyler, how about you start it off, man? What did you see? What did you like? What do you think the people should be tuning in for?
One thing that just keeps echoing in my head is the Caimans coach screaming, "Who's got 52?
Oh, yeah.
Who's got 52?" And then immediately right after he said that every time, Cole Elis would do something to create some sort of offense for the team. Whether it's a cut, whether it's a shot or a pass. They could not find this dude because he's so slithery. But, man, I think that's kind of what turned the tide for the Royals, tremendously. The Royals they played a really strong brand of basketball, especially on the defensive end, where they create additional opportunities for themselves. And they really understand how to play within what the refs are calling them. So they'll start the game off getting a ton of fouls. I'm talking those first two quarters, they're probably going to get about 15 fouls in total. But shortly after that, they start to adjust and they understand what they can get away with and what they can't. And someone like Joe Stubbs will take advantage of that every single time. And I think he did a really good job of it this game.
Did a great game.
Yeah, absolutely. Offensively, they looked fantastic. Cali Butler was doing his thing. Hit a ton of monumental threes that kind of kept him in the lead. Again, even Joe Stubbs on offense, I'm going to say Joe Stubbs is probably the player of the game. I don't have the stats in front of me or anything, but Joe Stubbs kind of led them offensively and defensively. On the boards, they couldn't really get anything between Tim and Alex Torrey just completely controlling every single board inside, finishing strong. It was tough for them to get it going. And the Caimans, they started off hot, like Jordy Nikolic, I think his last name is. He looked like he was fantastic. He was like a mid-range menace, but after halftime, they kind of stopped him from really getting those shots. They didn't let him get into position. He wasn't really getting to those elbows that he was looking for. And I think the Royals just did such a great job of playing like this in-your-face defense where they were doubling you. You were turning the ball over. You were going backcourt, and then you had 3D at some point. And I think that they were just so strong at creating those opportunities where even once they got that 3D, they were able to secure those points and make sure they got the extra point each time. It's tough, bro. They're scary. They're scary to play defense against or offense against. Sorry.
Yeah, the Royals were definitely a tough team to go up against. I really liked what I saw from Chris Colton. He's somebody that I mentioned throughout the broadcast a couple times. Even so much so, at some point there was another player that came in, Step, who I thought was still Colton, and I was still raving about him, and then
Oh,
Tyler
Steph.
corrected me that it wasn't him. But that's how good I thought Colton was doing for them. I think he came in and provided a good little jump there. Even Walter Covington, shout out to him. He hit some shots as well. I think this was really a game for the others, for the Royals. Their bench really came in and consistently produced, consistently kept the foot on the gas pedal from the moment they were coming into the game. And the game, it wasn't like super close in that first half, but like it was a game that the Caimans could still pull together until Eels came into the game. And once Eels came into the game, everything just blew out, and we talk about it because it was funny in the moment, and the coach, hearing the coach in our ear, because we were on his side of the benches, hearing him in our ears talk about who's got 52, who's got 52, it was hilarious. He didn't have, he didn't go crazy for like 20 or 30 points, but like he was consistently getting to the basket. He was consistently putting pressure on the defense, and I think that's what really irritated that Caimans coach the most. It's, yeah, he wasn't scoring every single time, or out there blowing them out by 20, 30 points or nothing, but he was just uh, a shocking development. Honestly, that's how I describe it. I never heard of him, and I've been working with the Royals for 3 years now, 4 or 5 years now, maybe since I known Amy, and I've never heard of that kid. But he stepped into
I
the
know him
game,
now.
man. Yeah, we know him now. He
I know.
stepped in.
I
He
want
was,
a jersey.
and honestly, shout out to him, because when he started going off is when I started recognizing that, okay, the bench players are overall doing a lot today. You know what I mean? Like, they're coming in every single time they come in, they're producing good minutes, and they went through their lineup pretty like deeply, I would say, because I'd say they probably had like 12 players in rotation, but every single one of them, Colton, we talked about Butler, we talked about Covington, Eels, even Step came in and hit some good shots, and he was an energy
Chris
boost for
too.
them. Who?
Chris Laird.
Chris
Chris
Laird.
Laird
He
too.
came in. He got injured, unfortunately, so he could have produced even more.
Yeah.
But he came in. He hit a three. And I love to see that. I love to see a game where it's won by your supporting cast, because you need that in a season, especially when you're in the ABA and it's a longer season. It's 20 games. You're gonna be playing every single week. You're gonna be traveling to different states. You know what I mean? Like, it's solid what the Royals have put together, and I'd say their bench unit is arguably stronger than it was last season in the ABA.
Man, it's one of the strongest benches I've seen. From the two games that I've watched, their bench looked very consistent. Um, Colton and Covington both produced exactly what I expected from both games. Butler too, actually. I would say the three of them, that trifecta, looked really good. But also Jeremiah Zitz, their backup center for Alex Torrey, is just this high energy guy where even if he doesn't get the opportunity to make the right play because they're not driving on him, he's communicating so well and he's positioning people so well that, yeah, I'd agree. That's a strong bench, bro. That's a strong bench.
I would say I want to say a couple things. I think that the Crocs coach got thoroughly outcoached just by watching the game and by
Caimans.
substitutions. Huh? Caimans, my
Cayman.
bad. The Caimans coach got thoroughly outcoached. And while I was what I was watching and what I saw of was a lot of turnovers, like you guys said. But it wasn't just like the turnovers; it was the lack of effort on defensive side for the Caimans as well. And then their ball handling. Their ball handling was atrocious. A lot of turnovers off that trap when when um apologize when the Royals started playing that pressure basketball and trapping them, they were just turning the ball over every time. At one point it was like 117-86. I was just like, why is Kevin in? Why are all these players in still playing? It's like it was an old fashioned behind the shed beatdown, and it just sucks because like I'm also watching their guards out rebound their centers on the Caymans. I'm watching them
Moody.
get put back. Yeah, I'm talking about. I saw at least on the sped up version, at least 5 offensive rebounds from Moody, off of not just his misses, but his teammates misses off off a pass of a pick and roll. If someone gets blocked, he's grabbing the rebound and going right up. Hit a crazy game when it comes to like being a guard and being on the offensive boards. I think I've never seen something like that before, at that level. So yeah, I just want to shout out him mostly. He was the one who stuck out when you're watching this shit at 2 times speed. There's not a lot of people who stick out, but he definitely did. But also, I think the Caimans got to find a way to speed up their offense. I feel like they let the defense get settled in, and then when they try to make these passes, they're stolen, or it's a hard pass to make, or it's Kevin Rulock coming off of a tween jump shot being highly contested by Kale Weller. I just feel like that team in general needs to figure out their offense, but I think the Royals are like what Tyler said and like what Nas said. They're physically imposing. They're in your face. I was telling you guys, Bo, before the game, he's a scary dude, and he's a big guy. It's just a lot of different players on that team that match that grit and grind, and that's their style. They just get it from the mud, and that's how they're always going to do it. There's no shooting. There's no fancy shit that's going on. It's me, you, mano a mano, and that's exactly how they're balling.
Yeah,
I think they kind of have to identify two different lineups for the Caimans if they want to run this. I think Bernardus, Jason Bernardus, their one of their guards. So let me get his actual number. For you, he was number 20. He was lights out that game in transition, in the half court, wherever he was shooting from. And I think you have to recognize that maybe Xavier Andrews and Kevin don't work as well together. But you really got to see that Kevin and Ben Hardis work, fantastic together. Maybe that's the pairing that you put in. Maybe you put Andrews and you put Jordy in together, and you just kind of switch some things up. Because I think I agree with you, consistently playing that slow down offense in the half court isn't going to work with a team like the Royals, because they're going to play some tough defense. They're going to play some hard defense. They're going to make you make mistakes. You sometimes have to play in transition before they can really get set up. And we haven't really seen that. The first time that we saw that was against the Commerce, and they played them really well. They were in the lead for most of that game. Like I think that's what you need to do. You need to figure out, how to play different sets, how to play in transition, how to just give them different looks on offense and defense, just to kind of change up the game. And I don't think that the Caimans did that. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think as a unit they had to play a lot harder too. I feel like it was. I think when you look at it, they got a lot of contributions from Jason Bernardus. He did a really good job. He probably had 20. I wouldn't be surprised. Alan Nelson, he did a
He might
great
have
job.
50.
You're right, exactly. Alan Nelson did a great job, and I've been watching Alan Nelson play for a long time, and I just never known Alan Nelson to be a leading scorer on the team. And when I say that is I don't think he led the team in scoring. Huh? Okay. I don't think he led the team in scoring, but I think he
All
was
right.
scoring a lot. That's what I mean to say. And I don't know him to be a primary scorer. That's the wording I was trying to use. I don't know him to be a primary scorer or a secondary scorer. So you get that type of contribution from him. Jason Bernardus is a new face to me, so I don't know what his game is like on a regular basis, but you get that contribution from him. And then Kev, he had his moments. They definitely were focusing him, so he couldn't consistently do what he wanted to do, but he still had a good game. I'd say statistically, his game still looked pretty decent. Maybe efficiently, not as much. I would have to look at the stats to see. I don't think they're up yet, but I think you have to get a team contribution at that point in order to stay in that game. And I think that is what I basically was saying about the Royals, is where they got so much of a team contribution, it turned into a 40-point win. You know what I mean? And I think that's where you start mitigating that deficit getting so large. Is okay, well, their bench is coming in and holding their own and pulling their weight, whereas our supporting cast is not. So we have to be able to go out there, or I'm sorry, they have to go out there and they have to play as a unit. And I shout out to Kev. We've seen it before in the GM5. I've witnessed it so much in the FBA and through all my battles with the Crocs. He's a vocal player. He's a vocal player. He's always trying to keep his team in check. He's always trying to keep them in line. Tyler mentioned that, the camaraderie of huddles in the middle of the court. You know what I mean? Right before we start shooting free throws, let's huddle up, let's talk about it. Take 5 seconds before the referee starts blowing the whistle, and let's get back into it. You know what I mean? And that leadership matters. The players have to be willing to be led, though. And I think that's where the Caimans failed. They just weren't willing to be led. It was just not a lot of effort, not a lot of getting back, not a lot of crashing the boards, not finishing easy opportunities. When you get the contributions that you got from a player like Bernardus, Allen, and Kev, you would expect a team like that to have done better, not to have lost by 40. And in the grand scheme of things, though, they did score 100. So when you look at it, yeah, they didn't play terribly, but the effort level that they put out there allowed the other team to score 140. So that's how you lose games right there. You know what I mean?
And Cyrus had 29.
Jeez.
Who, Cyrus Barnes?
Alex Torrey had 22 rebounds. That's crazy.
Where do you see
Jesus.
stats?
I'll say to you, it's my stats online.
What? I didn't know that. Oh man, why didn't you tell me that? Oh man,
I just found it out right now.
Did
I
you-
just looked right now.
What? Oh man, I could have came here
Alex
all
Torrey
prepared.
had if this is correct, Alex Torrey had 31 and 22, and I believe that. I do believe that.
No, 31. There has to be.
I want you to think about it. 15 shots says that he made. I want you to think about how many of those easy layups he was getting in that game, where we kept saying it was so funny he wasn't trying to dunk, he just going for the easier shot. I believe that he did hit 15.
Oh man, I kind of do. But
That's crazy.
Oh man, I kind of do. I'm gonna ask Amy, man. I don't know, but shout out, man. Shout out, my man Gucci. Shout out, my man Gucci. That's crazy. I can't believe it. But I'll look into it though. But yeah, I mean, shout out to the Royals, man, for having us out, man. We can't wait to have more games with them. I'm gonna keep shooting my shot, see if they'll let me in the team bus to go into one of their away games one of these weekends. But it was exciting
Preferably
basketball.
Claremont.
What happened?
Preferably if they play Claremont or somewhere in Florida.
No, exactly. Facts. But shout out to them for letting us out there, man. The ABA is definitely some great basketball. That's something that I'm going to take some time out this week to do is research some ABA teams in our area and look up some stats, see if they have. I'm sure most of these teams are required. I think all of them are required to stream or to record in one way or another. So I'm going to start looking into that, maybe watching some games throughout the week and learning because I think the ABA has some great basketball this year, man. I'd say it's better than what we were seeing from the Royals competition last year because they played some teams that were, you know, not something you want to go back to watch again. Let me tell you that much. So I'm excited for the ABA this season. I'm excited for the GM5, man. I'm excited for local basketball. The FBA is starting soon. So y'all got to hit that subscribe button. Y'all got to like and y'all got to comment and you got to share because there's a lot of great basketball happening in this local scene and it's not going to stop with just what we're talking about. It's going to keep more and more tournaments, leagues, all types of stuff going on. So tap in with us.
Covering it though.
Yeah, tap in with us, man. Don't forget, GM5 All-Star voting has started, so go follow at GM5 League on Instagram to go cast your vote. Make sure you follow them and turn on your notifications so you can see as soon as they post it, as soon as they're ready to start receiving the votes. And that's it, man. Subscribe. Hoop Talk Podcast out. Deuces.
Deuces.
Sure.